Hello, my name is Ilona and today is Thursday, January 10th, 2024. And I just want to start with some things I saw here, at least in the Netherlands. So these are two Dutch articles, but they are just hilarious. So I just wanted to mention them as well. I put them under the nonsense news. First one, this article is just pure journalism at its finest. Diarrhea is caused by climate change and there's going to be more cases of diarrhea because of climate change. Yes. I'm sorry. Where they come up with these things, it's very interesting. So this is an article in the Dutch media this morning placed that we have to watch out for diarrhea, and they've got a nice picture from someone, walking through the flooding areas. Of course, mentioning that because of all the flooding that really we have to take care of things and diseases can come up and things like that. They really know how to scare people, so to speak. Interesting enough, I've looked at this in my live from Tuesday evening, my Dutch live, that there are a lot of things coming out now that the flooding happening, at least in the Netherlands right now, is because the organizations that were in charge of taking care of all the water here in the Netherlands. We have Rijkswaterstaat and we have Hoogheemraadschap. They weren't doing their job the last few months. So when they were supposed to, make sure that water was leaving, they opened things up. They didn't. So the water remained very high. And of course, because we had so much rain past a few weeks, months, that of course escalated. So there's flooding here in the Netherlands right now. It's not on a massive scale, but it is horrible for the people involved. There, even here where I live, there are certain places that have been flooded, and it's just horrible. That could have been prevented if these organizations actually did their job. And this is all it's of course the top in those organizations, of course, are working their agendas. But of course, the people that are really just doing their job thought that it probably had to do with climate change. Also, I'm sure they were instructed in that way. Yeah, we have to keep some, because there's going to be a drought. It's going to be very dry. So keep the water high. Then, of course, a lot of rain came. So it wasn't very smart. But anyway, they're not going to mention that in the article, that actually has to do, and really diarrhea, it's just really just stock up on toilet paper, just in case. The other thing here is also very Dutch, another Dutch thing happening here, but I thought it was hilarious. We have Hugo de Jonge, maybe a name heard by other people before. I don't think anyone really knows him outside of the Netherlands, but he was the Minister of Health during everything that was happening. And he was very firm that everyone should get a sting. He was even talking about that he knew where everybody was living that didn't get the sting, and that he was going to go door to door. There were a lot of complaints against him. Well, now he has opened up this sort of hotline for discrimination. So if you feel like someone is not treating you fairly, he has opened that up now. And of course, people are calling in. The people that were, because they didn't get the stings, are now complaining against him. Yes. It just writes itself, kind of. Like, why do you come up with this? But anyway, it's now actually being used to report him for what he has done. And let's face it, it was horrible what he did. We really, people that, and of course in other countries it was even more strict than in the Netherlands. But there was a period that you couldn't go to a restaurant, you couldn't go to a gym. You had to show your status, which is really ridiculous. That is going on. It's just a ridiculous thing. So this is interesting to mention. I looked in my Dutch video at a minister now leaving. Also the Minister of Health at this moment, Kuipers. just before there's going to be this big discussion about the mortality rate, the excess mortality rate, he suddenly has to leave. He is actually, the government has of course fallen. There are now discussions for a new government, but until that time, they are still there. They're not really in charge, but in a way they are still like a government. And he is like, yeah, I'm leaving, I'm out, I'm going to somewhere else. So especially before this important discussion, he kind of just moves away. So I also looked at the energy, and I believe that it's purposely done to show people again. I also saw the justice card in the future. So no one is going to get away with this. This is really showing people how things work. Of course, there are a lot of people that still have this, I don't know, even in the Netherlands, but I think worldwide, there's still a lot of people that think that the government or the people working there are actually fair people. Some of them maybe, but most of them are not. And they really don't have the best interest of the people of the Netherlands or any other country who they're working for, in the government. They don't have that. They don't have the best for the people there in mind. They've got their own agendas, and it's shown now. So I got from the cards that it's justice will be served. But it's interesting to see because he also wants to get away. And it's it's just, in a way, interesting, but still that there's no real independent research. I believe they just funded something independent. They finally had the money to do it. So I hope that the investigation will lead to some things about here, at least in the Netherlands, between stings and the mortality rate. It's like, why hasn't there been a thorough investigation? Because they don't want it. The people in charge don't want it. So they're just moving around it, beating around the bush, coming up with all these other investigations, that needs to be looked at, which has nothing to do, of course, with that. Everything is being investigated concerning the excess mortality rate, except the stings. They're like exempt for some strange reason. But this is not going to be, they won't be able to hold this off for very long. So that's what I got for in the Dutch video. I also looked at Ecuador. At the moment, there are a lot of things happening. Oh, before I forget, I also mentioned some other things in America right now. This is Georgia District Attorney Fani Willis exposed for secretly collaborating with the January 6th committee before, of course, making complaints against Mr. T. Very interesting. Nathan Wade, that was Willis' chief prosecutor, and alleged apparently something going on between them, documented four covert meetings held between the committee and, of course, the team. Also, they visited the White House, so the Mr. B administration. So this is coming out. This is very interesting. This has to do with, of course, things going on with Mr. T. It's coming out now that obviously this is all orchestrated. This has all political agendas all over it, and it really has nothing to do with actually having legit charges. They're just making it up, so to speak, as it goes. Other thing I also wanted to mention is, this is also interesting, is that apparently this doctor, very wrong, so to speak, in Dutch, his first name Fout is wrong, so it's very suitable here. But of course, he's been speaking as well to the select subcommittee on, of course, what's been happening and for the past 2 days. And he actually Anthony came up with a few things. First of all, claimed that the 6 feet apart social distancing recommendation promoted by the federal health officials was likely not based on any data. Gee, he characterized the development of the guidance by stating, it sort of just appeared. So it just came out of nowhere, and acknowledged that the lab leak hypothesis is most likely not made up. It has valid truth to it. And also that the mandates would increase people to get stinged. Previously, of course, just to make them difficult. And so I didn't read this correctly, but he admitted that the mandates could increase hesitance to get things in the future. But previously, he was really for, we have to make it their lives as difficult as possible to get people stinked. So he was really working hard on that, and there were more things coming out. So that's very interesting. So many things are happening. Also, something I almost forgot, there was so much information going on, that the UN court is to hear South Africa in their case against Israel. That's happening, I think, today. The UN International Court of Justice will begin hearing a case brought by South Africa on Thursday, where it accuses Israel of, doing horrible things in Gaza. And it's very interesting. I also read in a Dutch article that there are 17 judges. 17 judges. It probably will take a lot of time before this will actually do something. South Africa has asked for the court to, really make sure that there is like a ceasefire. That's what they want. But of course, we'll have to wait and see what Israel is going to do. But it's very interesting that South Africa actually brought this forth. So this is happening as well. So much is happening. It's just... Anyway, I wanted to take a look at Ecuador. I believe I've mentioned that there, of course, right now is so much going on. It kind of started when a prisoner escaped, a very known prisoner escaped from jail. His name is Adolfo Macias Villamar, better known as Vito. He escaped, and that kind of escalated everything. So right now, there I saw a video of police with people just, picking up arms, helping the police. There are a lot of gangs now. There is so much going on there right now in Ecuador. And I had a feeling it is about cleansing things. Of course, it fits with the dark energies. They want chaos. They want civil unrest. They want countries, torn apart by things like this. But it feels to me like this is also cleaning up things. So the energy I've got was the 10 of Swords. We've got the 10 of Wands. For the central card, we've got the 4 of Wands in the past. We have the Ace of Swords, which is a yes to me. So I do believe there is cleansing going on. And for the future, we have the 6 of Pentacles and the Strength card. I was also looking at the back of my deck the entire time. I was drawn to it. It has the Tower. So these cards tell me that this is really about cleansing. These are 2 10s, which is like the end of the minor arcana in the tarot. These are like the last cards of the Wands and of the Swords. So this is ending, and there's a radical ending as well. This is about, all these mixed energies, all these influences need to be cleared, need to be cleaned. The Tower is all these things that just don't fit, need to fall apart, and need to get rid of all these energies, people that, dark energies. And it is hectic, and my heart goes out to everyone involved in this. This is most likely a horrible situation when you are living there. This is unfortunately necessary to clean up things. So this is the end of something. There's a radical end. This is, of course, the 10 of Wands, kind of the chicken without a head running around. It's time to handle things and to clear things and to let go of things that just don't work anymore. And for the future, there will be a new balance and a new strength for the people of Ecuador. But right now, it is very hectic. It is necessary to get all these toxic energies out of there, and of course all these gangs, all these influences. Unfortunately, I do believe that there will be more countries that this is going to happen to, especially when there is this climate of all these gangs having so much power and influence. They're of course fighting for themselves as well. So it's necessary, but it's awful, obviously, to just take those energies out. But I do believe that this has to do with the cleansing, and ultimately this will bring a new balance and strength to the people of Ecuador. But it is a horrible situation, but unfortunately, necessary. I wanted to say unnecessary, but sometimes, if you really want to clear things, and when it's so ingrained in a certain country, you know, all these people, there are more countries that have all these influences. Of course, in the Netherlands, we have those influences as well, but in a different way. So not with all the gangs involved. Although I'm sure, you know, if you look at things, it doesn't really matter. These dark energies are everywhere. It kind of depends on the country in what way they have the influence. But right now in Ecuador, a lot of things are happening. It is necessary to bring it all down. That's what this is about. This is a very shocking moment. But ultimately, it will lead to balance and to strength. Another thing I also wanted to take a look at, Poland. So many things are happening in Poland right now. And I just wanted to take a look at the energy. Apparently, two populist Polish lawmakers were actually taken in on corruption inside the country's presidential palace on Tuesday. So this is Mariusz Kaminski and Maciej Wąsik. And this is really, they are from a group Law and Justice, and they were detained inside the president's Duda's palace. And this is all because of the, I think the Prime Minister, if I'm not mistaken, Donald Tusk is now behind this. He wants to take over, and he's really been doing a lot of things. He's been cleaning media, shutting down, I think, a certain station. It's just, I'm just kind of looking through this article. Of course, we'll put up all these articles. But he's now prime minister again, and he really wants to return to the European Union. He wants to get rid of people. He's shaking up things and, of course, detaining people. And I just want to take a look, what is the energy going on in Poland? Is this also a clearing? Is this a dark energy? White energy may be behind this, although this may not seem that way. What is going on in Poland? Let's see. We've got the Six of Swords. That's interesting. We've got the Fool as the central card for Poland. We've got the Three of Swords in the past. The Nine of Swords underneath the Fool. We've got the Tower for the future. And the Ten of Cups. Again, a 10. So when I look at this is shaking up things. This is, again, has to do with changing, shaking. So probably not surprising that I also looked at Ecuador and now at Poland. It is a similar energy. Of course, it's a different way of how this is going to work out. But things are falling apart to bring in something new. And also interesting, we've got this card, which is about changing, going into a different direction. The Fool card is the first card of the major arcana. So that emphasizes like a new path, a new cycle, but there's so much fear surrounding this. So this is about cleaning up. So it's very interesting, because you would immediately assume with Tusk doing all these things, oh, he's doing this from the dark energies. But of course, it is your perspective, how you see things. I believe that there is something else going on here. This is actually clearing the way, because I do believe that there were things going on in the government, and it has nothing to do with right or left. There are dark energies in all places, in all sides. So people need to understand that as well. So we're seeing something new coming in for Poland, new energy, but there's a lot of stress, a lot of fear, and there's going to be a hectic period. Especially now with what's going on, people will react to this. People will start to see what's really happening. So I do think this will create a lot of resistance, and this will, things are going to start falling apart there as well. And ultimately, it will lead to happiness and to a new cycle. This is again a 10. It's like an ending of an old cycle, starting a new cycle, especially with the Fool card and the Six of Swords, which is moving away from things. But it's going to get hectic in Poland. That's the feeling I'm getting, especially with the Tower card, which is really about shock and things happening. Doesn't mean it's going to be similar as in Ecuador or in other countries, but this is necessary for people to see things and start moving again. But ultimately, this will lead to something new energy. So I want to leave it at this. Hope to see you in another video. Bye.